What's going on, class? Today's objective is to show you how to not only scrape data from R, but also how to clean that data and build a visualization. So pretty much tying all the last couple of videos together. I want to draw your attention to this website, which tracks the highest paid CEOs by year. So as you can see here, we got Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, aka Alphabet.com. We have all your top tech CEOs here and how much they made in the calendar year. So we're going to rip this in, put it in the R, and then build a bar chart to see who actually was the highest paid. So let's copy this URL because we'll need it. And then let's go into R. Boom. All right, here we go. All right, as you guys know, we need rvest. So I'm going to library, load this package. Boom, let's type in rvest. Here, we'll load that. And then I have this site. This is read_HTML. And I'll put in this URL. Next, I'm going to have CEO table or data table CEO. All right, this is going to be, I'll take my site and then I'll point it to the HTML_table. And then what I want to do is grab all the tables and fill it with all the data. That's what this does. All right, I know there was only one table from that site, so I don't need to check it. I know that there's one, so I'll call this my CEO data. My CEO data is a data frame, data.frame. And then I'm going to say, this is data table, CEO, : 1. So I'll run that. You can see that I have here, I have ripped successfully this table. Now, let's talk about this a little bit. Now, this data is in, but it's not clean, and that's what we're going to do now. So you see here, the first thing I'm going to do is change this name of this column. It has CEO.pay ... sort or whatever. I'm just going to change this to gross pay. And then R can't handle these like dollar signs and these commas in here. They just like to work with just straight conventional numbers. So we're going to remove those numbers. So let's do that. First thing, let's install this package called dplyr that you guys will need. Dplyr. All right, I already have it installed, so I can just do library dplyr. There it is. Sorry. So it's dplyr. So just install that guy right there. So this has to be dplyr. All right, so you would run that. So I just installed this. Now, this is how to rename columns, how to rename columns in R using the dplyr package. Dplyr package. All right, so I just loaded that up. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this name called name CEO, right? And I'm going to override it with a new copy. So here's what you do. Take the actual name CEO data, and then I'm going to rename, and then I type in my columns there. So let me bring up the column names. You guys should know or remember how to do this. That's call names. And then the name of my data file is my CEO data. Here are my column names. So I just want to replace this one with just gross pay, so it's easier to work with. So coming back to my code, call the name and then override it with my CEO data. And then we're going to pipe that into rename. So here's what we do. We take, in quotations, the new name that we want to use. I want this to be called gross pay equals, and then I'm just going to copy here the existing name. All right, and paste that right in there and rewrite it. All right, so now when we look at our data here, it was changed to gross pay. All right, let me close this, I'm sorry. All right, so change to gross pay, my CEO data, gross pay. All right, so here's what we got. You take the existing name and then you pipe that into the existing name. This rewrites it. Put that into this function, rename, and what the new name is equal to what the current name is that you want to rewrite. All righty, so we have our data. So the next thing we need to do is we want to get rid of these dollar signs and these commas. Here's how we do that. Okay, so how to remove let's say how to remove text from cells in R. Right? How to remove text from cells in R. So here's what we're going to do. Now, in R, you type in the name of the data file, CEO data, and then you do dollar sign. Dollar sign points it to a specific row. The row that we want to clean up is gross pay. And then we're going to refer to this thing called GSUB. So GSUB works like this. In quotations, what's the text that you want to remove? So I want to remove the comma. All right, then we do comma. Quotations again. What do we want to replace it with? I want to replace it with nothing. So I leave that inner quotes there blank. And I do a comma again. And then what row do you want to change? The row that I want to change is going to be the my CEO data dollar sign gross pay. So it says rewrite this column right here using GSUB. And the GSUB is what do I want to replace or remove? That is the comma. What do I want to replace it with? I want to replace it with nothing, so I leave this blank. And then which column in the file do I want to extract these commas and replace it with nothing from? So when I run that, I can come back and check it here, and you see all my columns are now gone. All right. The next step, let's get rid of these dollar signs. Let's get rid of these dollar signs. So I'm going to copy this function here. I'm going to copy this function here. Boom. And I'm going to paste it. So instead of getting rid of the commas, I'm going to get rid of the dollar signs. All right. So when I run this, or you know what? When I run this file, let me run it here. You see the dollar signs are still there. So when you're dealing with commas and things or symbols in R, you have to just put the backslash in front of it and then remove it. And as you can see now, these dollar signs are gone. Okay. All right. Now in class, we talked about the 5 types of data. So we have data that are texts, refers to them as characters. We have numbers that are integers, whole numbers. We have doubles, which are mixed numbers. We have dates and we have time. So to better understand what type of data is in each column, let's use this thing called str, and let's look at my CEO data. All right, and what that's going to give us is the actual structure. So you can see the structure of every column in our chart. So R sees the ticker symbol as a character or as text, company as text, CEO as text, year as integer, and gross pay as a text. We want to change it to gross pay being an integer. All right, so how do we change that? So what you want to do is type the following. So refer to the column that you want to change. So this is my CEO data, dollar sign, gross pay. And then I want to rewrite that as numeric. So as numeric, and then I just type my CEO data, dollar sign, gross pay. So it says take the column, which is my CEO data, dollar sign, gross pay, and make it as numeric, and then rewrite the current version of my CEO data, dollar sign, gross pay. So when I rewrite this, now I can run this looking at the structure again, and now you can see it's a number. All right, as a number. So we can go from there. So then let's build out a bar chart. All right, so here's a bar chart. So I'm going to say my CEO data, and then let's ggplot to that aesthetics. So on the x-axis, I'm going to put the CEO. And then on the y-axis, I'm going to put gross pay. And then I'm going to add on to that, a geom box, or geom bar, rather, where my stat is equal to quotations, and then identity. We went over in the previous video, right? So here I have my chart. Now, just let me flip. I'm going to flip the CEO axis because these names of these CEOs are crowding the view. So I'll just add to that this thing called chord flipped. Chord flipped. All right, let me rewrite that. So I just flipped the X and Y axis so you guys can see. In 2019, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, was the runaway highest paid CEO in the United States. All right, guys, so that is the all-encompassing video of how do I scrape something from R or scrape something from a website, get it into R, and then clean it. Review the GSUB, review the as numeric, as character, as date functions, how to rename columns in R. We'll continue to build upon this. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.